Lights out. Maybe more than a dozen inside.
When the door's down, blow the bulbs.
Yes, sir.
This is it.
Where?
There. Burn it.
Despite starring cinematic heavyweights Christian Bale and Sean Bean, Equilibrium was a sleeper hit. Going under the radar upon release, it was one of those countless 2000s films that would gain a cult status through rental houses like Blockbuster. Drawing a large portion of both its style from The Matrix and taking most of its substance from two legendary texts, 1984 and Fahrenheit 451, Equilibrium touches on some of the greatest societal ideas of the 20th century, ones which continue to be extremely relevant today.
There is a disease in the heart of man. Its symptom is hate. Its symptom is anger. Its symptom is rage. Its symptom is war.
The year is 2072, and in the wake of World War III, much of humanity has been wiped out, or at least that's what we're told. The remaining survivors vow to avoid all future wars by snuffing out the root cause of man's inhumanity to man, which they deem to be emotion. To do this, the citizens of Libria, believed to be the final remnant of civilization, are forced to discard all human emotions by taking a state-produced drug called prosium.
Prosium, opiate of our masses, glue of our great society. It has delivered us from pathos, from sorrow, the deepest chasms of melancholy and hate.
Meanwhile, the state has taken it upon themselves to destroy everything which displays any emotional content. In other words, although the society may have ended wars, they've ironically done this by declaring war on emotion, leading to them brutalizing, murdering, and destroying any remnants of it. This destruction is overseen by grammaton clerics who are at the top of law enforcement and receive orders from the Father, a tyrannical figure that showers the citizens in propaganda.
Why are you alive?
I live to safeguard the continuity of this great society, to serve Libria.
It's circular. You exist to continue your existence. What's the point?
The plot here heavily references George Orwell's 1984 and Ray Bradbury's Fahrenheit 451. Both these texts deal with dystopian futures under the thumb of totalitarian regimes that attempt to manipulate their subjects by controlling what they do, and, more specifically, what they think.
I saw Bobby Taylor crying today. He didn't know what I saw. Do you think I should report him?
Unquestionably.
Orwell's 1984 does this in many ways, including doublethink, the act of holding simultaneously two opposite, individually exclusive ideas or opinions, and believing in both simultaneously and absolutely. It essentially requires using logic against logic, or suspending disbelief in the contradiction. The three slogans of the party, war is peace, freedom is slavery, and ignorance is strength, are obvious examples of doublethink. In 1984, the totalitarian state of Oceania is also ruled over by one party who employ a thought police to persecute any form of individuality or independent thought. At the same time, the dictatorial leader, Big Brother, enjoys supreme power over an entire civilization, forming a state not too dissimilar to Libria or North Korea.
We are at peace with ourselves, and humankind is one. War is gone. Hate, a memory.
But underneath these many overt similarities, 1984 purports a very wise philosophy. It states that those who control the past also control the future, and it is those who control the present who control the past. This idea locates the importance of the past not in what happened, but how we, the people, conceive of the past. Akin to the famous idiom, history is written by the victor, or its variation, for the victor, it essentially suggests that those who have control over society and its functioning can essentially rewrite history to suit their beliefs, making such beliefs the default status quo. Equilibrium's totalitarian state does this in many ways, but most explicitly by destroying relics of the past. Labeled as emotional material, likely to rouse human emotion, even in the presence of the suppressant drug prosium, such items are immediately destroyed, with the first example of it being the Mona Lisa, quite literally one of the most iconic pieces of art ever made. The discussion of the state's tactics of destroying history to rewrite it is also nested deeply in Fahrenheit 451. Ray Bradbury's 1953 novel makes such ideas incredibly explicit, with this dystopia controlling its culture by destroying books that don't align with their ideologies, burning them and directing the course of humanity in the process.
Every time we come from the nethers to the city, reminds me why we do what we do.
Does?
I beg your pardon?
It does.
To me, the very fact that they know these items can overpower the psychological conditioning and pharmaceutical forms of indoctrination are early signs that the authoritarian state is very aware that what they're perpetuating was unnatural and contrary to the human condition.
There's no war, no murder. What is it you think we do?
Our protagonist John Preston is one of those clerics charged with keeping the order, the best in fact, known for his ability to spot even the subtlest sign of emotion. An unfortunate truth for his partner, who is starting to question all the destruction and bloodshed.
I'll do what I can to see they go easy on you.
They never go easy.
Then I'm sorry.
No, you're not. You don't even know the meaning. It's just a vestigial word for a feeling you've never felt.
Now paired with a career as cleric, Andrew Brand, Preston leads the raid of Mary O'Brien's apartment, a woman harboring countless forbidden objects. Shaken by the memory of his wife, who was detained under the same circumstances and executed, Preston begins to form a bond with her.
What's the point of your existence?
To feel. Because you've never done it, you can never know it. But it's as vital as breath. And without it, without love, breath is just the clock, ticking.
Returning to Mary's apartment later, he cracks on some Beethoven and bursts into tears. Lured in, Preston continues to indulge in feelings, intentionally not taking his daily prosium, leading to him starting to oppose his orders. First opting to save a puppy from meaningless slaughter. Yes, Preston was the original John Wick, before going a step further to try and help a group of rebels escape a massacre. Unfortunately, Brand is on his case, and very clearly sensing his emotional turbulence, catches him in the act and confronts him. Despite this, his superior DuPont tasks him with apprehending the underground rebels and destroying the resistance once and for all, in addition to finding a traitor among the clerics. Obliging, Preston quickly locates the underground rebels and their unofficial leader Jurgen. Taking their side, the former cleric agrees to betray his order by killing the head of this dystopian nightmare.
We have a network that's larger than you could ever imagine. Instant word comes that Father is dead, that the Council is leaderless.
Bombs that have already been planted will be set off at the prosium clinics and the factories around Libria.
Following O'Brien's execution, Preston convinces the clerics that Brandt was a traitor all along and turns in the underground rebels, granting him an audience with the father. However, things don't go as planned. Not only does Brandt show up and reveal the entire situation was a double bluff, but the father is revealed to have died many years ago, with his presence existing only in videos and holograms used to keep up appearances. Downright aggravated by their flagrancy, Preston whips out his gun kata, a form of intense gun-based martial arts, and single-handedly puts an end to the authoritarian state of Libria.
Look at me. Look at me.
I feel, now that you know it, is it really worth the price? I pay it gladly.
Equilibrium takes far more from Fahrenheit 451 than just a backdrop. In the book, we follow Guy Montag, a government fireman tasked with carrying out book burnings that comes to realize the dystopian society is using this to suppress dissenting ideas for change, and thus restricting the scope for individual thought and expression. With this, he switches sides and goes through a transformation of self. Sound familiar? Of course it does. Replace Montag with Preston and, well, you pretty much have Equilibrium. But beyond similarities, these inspirations cut to the heart of Equilibrium's central theme, which interrogates the ideas of control through suppression, displaying how effective they can be, while, at the same time, highlighting that they're doomed to fail as soon as enough people begin noticing the cracks and start dissenting.
If we can succeed in disrupting the supply for even one day, our cause will be won by human nature itself.
The film makes some truly bold claims about humanity, culture, information, the government's relationship to such complex problems, and the terror of totalitarianism, be it through allusions to 1984, Fahrenheit 451, which was ironically banned in schools upon release, or even its direct predecessor, The Matrix. It's clear that Equilibrium draws strongly from other sources, and pulling together its profound societal warning, but this doesn't detract from the message held within. After all, if a message is worth saying, it's worth repeating.
Tread softly, because you tread on my dreams.
Be careful, Preston.
You're treading on my dreams.
Well, that's all for today, folks. If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to hit like and subscribe to stay up to date on all my content. And yeah, if you have any other suggestions, feel free to leave them in the comments below. As always, it's been a pleasure. Niyat here with Film Comics Explained. Thanks for stopping by.
The supposed savior of the resistance, you've given me yourself without incident. No.
Oh, shit.
Not without incident.